Hello everyone, I'm Dogyu from grade 11 and I'm from Korea. If you don't know I'm from South Korea or North Korea, please be aware of me, be careful. So today I bring you some questions, so listen carefully and please participate. First question, how many people had political experience? Have you ever ran as presidential election as presidential candidate, or have you ever, elected National Assembly members? Please vote by. Please raise your hands. Okay. Another question is, I always want to be a king in South Korea when I was young. So if there is a country called Dogyu land, and if you are a king of Dogyu land, and if you have to, only eat one food for a year, what would you eat? If you want to eat hamburger, please vote by raising your hands. Okay, what about pizza? Okay, so from now on, you have to eat only hamburger for a year in a Dogyu land. Let's move on. Wait, how many people had political experience? Could you raise your hands again? Okay, strange, because from now on, we should all have political experience. Because you just participate, you just vote for eating hamburger or pizza for a year in Dogyu land. Politics is not this. Politics is not just you running as presidential election as presidential candidate or electing National Assembly members. Politics is resolving differences of opinion and conflicts between people. And more broadly, politics is participation. Participation is so important. However, it is hard to realize. So that's why I'm here to enlighten you. I know, I learned that how my participation can change me, my country, and even our planet. My story starts off very absurd and funny. It was like kind of accident. When I was 11 years old at the time, my friend told me that his favorite webcomic was published as a printed book. So we went to local bookstore together. However, what we are looking for was not there. So we decided to go to the Kyobo bookstore, which is one of the largest bookstores in South Korea, and also it is located Gwanghwamun Square, which is the heart of South Korea. So actually when you go there, we took bus and subway. However, at the time, it was like a Saturday 4 p.m. There were too many people. It was very strange. And when we got there, so many people called this, President Park must resign. I heard chanting like this. At the time, South Korean president was Park Geun-hye, but actually, she was not a president. She was just puppet. And actually, the news at the time revealed the existence of a civilian Choi, who is a friend of Park Geun-hye, and also she is a real power. She controlled the Korean economy, society, and even diplomacy. I heard this news from my friend because he told me. However, I never know that so many people had same opinion as me before I saw this with my own eyes. So when we arrived there, it was not that dark. However, what we saw was exactly like that. People marching to the presidential house, and also elderly and children who's singing in the square with bright candles. So at the time, my friend and I were overwhelmed by atmosphere in that rally. So we gave up the original purpose, and instead we lit the candles. So we barely got seat through huge crowds, and the woman next seat us, said this: "Oh, you little puppets are also participating." Yeah, I participated with total of these people on November 12th. The week after the next, I re-participated again with the huge crowds. It was by my will, but so 26 candlelight vigils were held for impeach her, and then 16.8 million people participated. So what was the result? And no one died. And also, the president was impeached and even imprisoned. And I learned the democracy that I learned theoretically, and my power, as master of my country. And as I said before, I learned how my participation can enlighten me, my country, and even our planet. So you can say that, the president would have been impeached even if you hadn't participated. I think so. I agree. But, however, what everyone at the rallies thought so. You have to remember that 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people cannot, grab the president of South Korea from her chair. I want to tell you one last interesting fact. So when the candlelight vigils were held at the time, another rally called Korean flag rallies also held. So the participants, they waved the Korean flags, and they all said that they need to protect the president of South Korea, and they opposed the impeachment of South Korean president. So at the time, I lived with my grandparents, and one day I went to my grandfather's room at the time, and in his piggy bank, the Korean flag that I've never seen before was in his piggy bank. So I asked about the Korean flag to him, and my grandfather said, "Oh, I participate the Korean flag rallies." Isn't it very interesting? It was like, I and my grandfather were both enemy. We fought each other. So, yeah. So Korean flag rallies were held 2016 to 21, except 2020. And, surprisingly, last year, December 31, Korean president were released on December 31, 2021, by then President Moon. So, my question is, if they and my grandfather didn't participate in that rallies, do you think the president would have been, released? I don't think so. I don't think so. My message to you is not that you have to cause like Second French Revolution or something like Soviet, revolution or something like that. I want to say that, my message to you is never to think your voice alone is too small to cause significant change. Fully participate in your life, your country, and even our planet, and also, take control of your future. A small candle can brighten up a large room. as I said before, your small candle called participation can change, can brighten up you, your country, and even our planet. Thank you.